To Jen Psaki, who's with me here on set. And Jen, you were just listening to that soundbite we played from former President Trump. He said, I believe revenge can take some time.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
You know, I think it goes right at the heart of what actually Joe Biden was trying to remind people of, which is that, you know, the reason why he can give a speech like that, one, Ronald Reagan, as you said, he was tapping into a lot of the themes of that. And the theme of Reagan's speech from 40 years ago and the theme of President Biden's speech from today were similar, right? Yeah. Which were about these Rangers, these brave allied forces who were thinking about something bigger than themselves.
And look, Kelly mentioned this as well, where President Biden would, of course, not give an overly political speech overseas. But think of how remarkable this is, Jen. A Democratic president is now relying on a former Republican president to get his message to try and attract more voters. Is that where we are in this campaign, that President Biden views himself as closer to Ronald Reagan than Donald Trump views himself closer to Reagan?
I think that's probably true. It is remarkable. What it also speaks to, regardless of who's relying on whom, is that the theme of Ronald Reagan's speech and the theme of President Biden's speech has been consistent. It's not in a partisan way about what U.S. American values are, about fighting, standing right beside our allies, about standing up for democracy. Those were the themes in the speeches. And so I think when you hear a comment, just to go back to your original question, like revenge takes time, that's like revenge is his revenge on other people. That is a campaign about himself. What the President Biden is trying to convey, and we'll see if it's successful, is I'm going to fight for you. Let's think about who we are as a country. These brave men who scaled who went to the beaches of Normandy, who scaled the wall, who were these allied forces, these Rangers. We are bigger than this. It's about fighting for something bigger than yourself, and he's fighting for himself.
Something that Vaughn alluded to that I want to ask you about. It seems that Donald Trump and his allies now are really trying to co-opt that message of threats to democracy. We've been hearing President Biden talk about threats to democracy for a long time. Talk about in 2020, his campaign is really hitting that hard this time around. But do you think the Republicans are essentially turning it on its head and making this conscious effort to describe, yeah, I think there's a threat to democracy, but it's you Democrats for prosecuting Democrats and prosecuting Republicans and weaponizing the justice system, as they say. Are Republicans, does that cancel it out for voters? Does that neutralize the Democrats' argument?
It shouldn't, but it is. You've traveled around the world. You've covered a lot of things around the world. You know this is an authoritarian-esque tactic. It's a Putin-esque tactic, which is to throw back, project onto others what you yourself are doing, to muddy the waters. So it's a political tactic. Will it work? It didn't work in 2022, as Gabe alluded to. Well, it's not showing up in the polls now. Leading up to 2022, in the post-analysis of the 2022 midterms, democracy was front and center for people, and the Democrats did well because of their fight for democracy. But yes, this is an authoritarian tactic I think Trump is using and his allies are using to try to muddy the waters and make everything seem corrupt and everybody seem bad.
So whether or not that threats to democracy message actually works or not, something that a lot of people are focusing on is the economy. There was a good jobs report today. Do you think in the next coming months, we've been talking about the economy now for the last several months, how the Biden campaign really, hasn't capitalized on that. Some blame the media for not focusing on it enough. But what do you think the campaign needs to do in the coming months to really finally break through with that message?
Well, I think what I can tell you from doing a lot of presidential campaigns is you can't tell people how they feel about the economy, right? And nobody votes on. We all cover and talk about GDP numbers. They're important, as are these monthly job numbers. People don't vote on data. They vote on how they feel, right? And so for the Biden campaign, what I think is incumbent upon them and what they're discussing internally, I bet, is how to tap into kind of the emotions and the heartstrings of people, to remind them that he's the person who's going to fight for them, not Donald Trump. That's what it's ultimately about, not necessarily the data, because people vote on how they feel, not what kind of the GDP numbers are telling them.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. Tough part for a politician is to
very tough, no question.
To make people feel something. So it can be very hard. Jen Psaki, always a pleasure to have you here. Great to have your expertise.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.